Hey guys, what's up? So gold and silver prices have started to correct. If you own a house in India, then in some cities, even the real estate prices have started to come down. Last 1.5 years, even India's stock market hasn't been doing that well. So if you're sitting on a lot of cash, you might be wondering that, okay, is this the time now for us to go and buy gold and silver or book a new property or go and buy Bitcoin or go and buy artificial intelligence stock? So on this video, I'm going to break down this complex topic as to what is overpriced or overvalued right now and what is kind of fairly priced, right? So this is going to be an interesting conversation. I'll simply give you my notion, my framework of analyzing from a macro lens. You please apply that framework to whatever you are analyzing. So without wasting time, let's first jump into gold and silver. So here is the gold chart, and this is a weekly chart of gold. And what I'm looking at here is something called as Bollinger Band. Okay, so Bollinger Band ka matlab kya hota hai? I'll just quickly teach you that first, then this analysis might make more sense. So this Bollinger Band has a top, this has a bottom, right? So this reddish line is the top and this greenish line at the bottom is the bottom, okay? And the price is, this is the price movement. Every single candle represents that particular time frame's price, okay? So the price is moving like this. So what you would notice on this band is that, for example, here, like, so let's pick this, okay? So the price touches here, it goes up. It touches here, then it goes up. It touches here, it goes up. And right now, despite a 10% correction on gold prices, the chart indicates that we are somewhere here. So is this a great time to buy gold? The short answer, according to me, is a no. Yes, if you are looking to start building positions on gold, right? That, for example, if you have 100 units of money on gold, and if you say that, you know what, okay, because gold prices have corrected by 10%, I'm going to put maybe like 10-20 units of money. So that's fine, not a problem. Because if gold falls till here, okay, then you should be able to bulk buy it. Okay, so this is the price point. Now let me help you understand why Bollinger Band kind of works. So see, what it represents is, you will see Bollinger Band 20 SMA close to, okay. So this is the technical indicator I have put. Now what is the meaning of this 2? So this 2 means that this is 2 standard deviation. So 2 standard deviation, 1 standard deviation here, 1 standard deviation here, okay. So 2 standard deviation pretty much captures the current price and gives you a price idea, okay. So without making it too complicated, this is what I mean. So here what I mean is that the price is moving like this, okay, and this Bollinger Band 2, what it captures is price variability. Now from time to time you will see that the band itself has expanded. For example, in this phase, this is like much wider, right? This gap is much wider. Here it is much narrower, right? And whatever goes inside this captures a 2 standard deviation variability. Okay, so this is like mathematical part, we'll not get into it. But the key takeaway that you can take from this quick discussion is that, see, basically like the prices of an asset, at least on a short term, moves within this band. And as per this band, right now, if we take a look at it on a weekly chart, gold is still fairly high. So I will not be buying it. In fact, I'm not a very big proponent of gold, to be honest. At max, I'll have like 5% of it on my portfolio, even going forward. But for people who are interested in gold, this analysis might make sense. So you can possibly wait. Now, is it guaranteed that because I've said it, the gold prices will not rise or something like this? I don't know. I'm just telling you whatever technical indicators are telling us, right? So take or leave whatever you want to do with it, okay? So this is one. Second key point is called as RSI. So RSI tells us that what the market interest on an asset is, okay? So for example, this green thing that you will look at. So whenever the RSI, this is the 70 mark, and whenever the RSI goes above the 70, it means that gold is, or that particular asset has gone into an overbought territory. So people are betting just too much on it. Maybe some speculation is happening and all that, right? So for example, here you will see that gold was in an overbought territory, and this is what part here. And then there was a correction, right? It touched this and then it rebounded, okay? So similarly here, right, we saw that there is a correction here, right? And now maybe it will touch here and then it might bounce back. I don't know, okay? So this is what technical indicator is telling us. So will I touch gold? Short answer is no, not right now. I will not bulk buy it. What about silver? Okay, so let's take a look at silver, right? So silver again exhibits something very similar, right? So here, if you take a look, right, so again, there is a chance that it might fall 15-20%, and which is a decent buying point for me. So I'm not entering into silver. I had taken a trade on silver. It worked out well. I made like 40% on it and I exited my trade. And in case you guys are keen that how do I do all this trade, and you know, on what community do I talk about my stock investing, etc., etc., I'm putting the links in the description comment box. You guys can check it out. Okay, so my entire portfolio is like available. It's generating very good CAGR. So this year I have made more than 40% in US dollar terms. In fact, that's my publicly available portfolio. If I talk about in my private portfolio, this year I've made more than 65% returns. Okay, why? Because I do options on it, so that allows me to amplify my returns. And all this is tax free for me. So if you want to learn about actually growing wealth practically, because I actually put my own money, grow wealth substantially, so I can give you practical insights. But anyways, back to topic. Silver again, same, it's working exactly similar as gold. So in case I see a 20% odd dip, then I will buy it in bulk, maybe for a trade, maybe for long-term investing, I don't know. But this is my viewpoint on gold and silver. In case it runs up, then it's fine. I'll miss it, no big deal. Okay. Now, next topic is around real estate. Now, something called as REITs has come up in the Indian market and everyone seems bullish. Now, what exactly are REITs? I had made separate videos on this, but I'll give you maybe a 1-minute refresher on what REITs are. Now, REITs are fractional real estate, right? Now, what are fractional real estate? For example, let's say that I run a company called as XYZ. Now, this company, what it will do is that it will go across different parts of India and will buy like some commercial space, maybe a house, maybe like, you know, one entire building, and maybe some other kind of like, you know, whatever, Amazon delivery centers or whatever it is. And they will have this real estate portfolio. Now, let's say that the value of this portfolio is 500 crores, right? Now, what they will do is that they will release a kind of a stock, right, which is kind of a REITs, okay, onto India's stock market or India's mutual fund market, whatever it is. And then you can invest in that stock at 500 rupees. So basically now influencers will make video, oh, you can go and buy like, become like real estate ka malik in 500 rupees, this, that stuff. And then people will get excited. Oh, 500 rupees mein real estate ke malik ban gaye. Okay, so this is where we are heading, right, in terms of market, right? Now, this is not a crib kind of a video, right? This is what the trend is. So I just need to tell you how to analyze this trend. Now, what ends up happening is that, see, it's always about flow of money, which is very important. It's not about what my opinion is. For example, if you actually go back and step back and think about the fact that why did the gold prices go up? Here is the chart, right? Take a look at it. Gold prices pretty much went up because the central governments across the globe decided to structure their flow of money onto gold, right? So central banks across the globe, they started aggregating it. And you will see that, you know, in 2024, 2025, now this flow is peaking around 1000 metric tons, right? So I'm just putting the numbers here. You guys can see that the flow isn't going up, right? We are just peaking in terms of quantity of gold that was being bought. Now, with REITs coming in, what is likely to happen is that a lot of flow of money, especially of mutual funds, is going to go into this, okay? Now, what does that lead to? Well, the value of underlying is going to go up. So if you can buy land in India, that's possibly the best investment, right, when it comes to real estate. If you are the eventual buyer of REITs, right, eventual buyer of REITs, I don't think you're going to make like any crazy money, right? So I own a lot of villas, I own a lot of land, which I had aggregated between like 2021 to 2024, a lot of it. Very happy, everything has gone up in value, everything has gone up in price. I feel that there will be a little bit of peaking out now. It's not as if that the prices will go up dramatically across the board. There can be pockets of growth. Now, pockets of growth ka matlab hota hai ki, see, real estate works at a micro level. For example, I buy a lot of property in India. If I'm buying, I buy a lot of property in South Goa. So in North Goa, prices have corrected, but in South Goa, prices have actually gone up. Why? Because people started realizing, you know what, okay, North Goa mein toh like villa you are getting at like, you know, 10 crores. But in South Goa, when I started buying villa, it was like whatever, like 1.5, 2, right? Now the same villa is getting sold for like 3.5, right? So there's going to be like a mellowing out and finding a new baseline. Now, when this REITs come up and it becomes much and much more mature, okay, in a way, then you can expect the second layer of pumping up, right, which might happen. So real estate overall is decent, right? If you are seeing a slowdown, most likely what is going to happen is that you might just see like a slowing down. You might not see like a deep correction, right? Like a 30% correction or 40% correction, ki suddenly correction ho gaya. What you are going to see is a time correction, and that's already happening on expensive properties, right? Expensive properties, for example, जैसे गुड़गांव mein खरीद रखी हैं लोगों ने, So now whatever prices have peaked, they have peaked. Okay. Bangalore, again, like many people were doing like very high rental yields. Now those yields are coming up. North Goa. So all these expensive bloated properties, expensive bhi nahi bolna chahiye, the correct word would be bloated properties. So there you will see a massive time correction and little bit of price correction. But if the property is already good, okay, so then it would be okay. Now, another way of looking at the property or real estate market in India is that who the buyer is, right? Because many of you message me, say that, you know what, okay, Akshata, we are looking to buy like a tier 2, tier 3 city में some property. Should we buy it? भाई आप खरीद तो लोगे, बहुत अच्छी बात है, right? But who will you eventually sell it to? Because what is the problem happening in tier 2, tier 3 city? The problem is that there are not enough end buyers. Why are there not enough end buyers? Because either वो काले धन में खरीदेंगे, right? So I mean, if you are one of those people, then it's different. But second key point is that genuine buyers बहुत कम है, right? I mean, लोग अपना black money just to fix it and all that stuff, they might be buying like real estate in tier 2, tier 3 city. But honestly, people are not doing like, you know, getting like high-end jobs and all that stuff. So finding liquidity in tier 2, tier 3 cities, it's a big challenge. So, okay, so then comes the solution that, okay, I am still looking to buy like a real estate. Should I go and buy it now? Answer is yes, you can possibly buy it because a little bit of time correction has happened. And if you buy it now, you can expect a time correction, but not necessarily a price correction. What type of property matters a lot. Do not buy it in tier 3 cities. What I would recommend is that you either buy a land, right? अगर आपको tier 2, tier 3 city में खरीदना भी है तो buy a land, buy like commercial unit, buy villas, right, etc. So these type of properties are better, and do not buy a bloated property because there are many areas, right, especially like Gurgaon, NCR types. Now, बहुत ज़्यादा bloated हैं properties, right, and yeah, and those are unlikely to do well. They might exhibit a very significant time correction. Okay, so then comes the third part. What about like mutual funds and stocks? Should we go and buy like mutual fund stocks right now? Is it a good market to buy mutual fund stocks? So see, I mean, it's mixed signals. Okay, so let me just take you to technical indicators. I'm not talking about fundamentals too much today. Okay, so let us go to technical chart, right? So what you would notice is that, so if we study the story from 2024, right? So यहाँ से करते हैं. So 2024 December से अभी, because December आने वाला है. So how much Nifty has given? So it has given roughly 5.5%. And on top of this, INR has easily depreciated by 3 to 4%. So honestly, like this return is close to zero, right? De facto. Okay, so 0% returns have been made in international currency. And yes, as an Indian investor, you do need to worry about INR depreciation also. There are a bunch of people who understand no finance whatsoever, but they will keep on giving ज्ञान कि नहीं हम तो इंडिया में रहेंगे, हम तो इंडिया में ही हमें खर्चे करने हैं, तो वी डोंट नीड टू वरी अबाउट लाइक करेंसी डेप्रिसिएशन. भाई क्यों नहीं? फिर तो बाय दैट लॉजिक पाकिस्तान स्टॉक मार्केट इज द बेस्ट, वहीं कर लो इन्वेस्ट जाके फिर. सो एनीवेज, लॉन्ग स्टोरी शॉर्ट, हियर वी हैव गिवन 0% रिटर्न्स, राइट? So this is a positive thing, right? Why? Because there can be mean reversion, right? Mean reversion means कि देखो यार एक साल में जीरो रिटर्न आया है, तो okay, like if we look at it on a 3-year basis, कुछ ना कुछ रिटर्न तो आ ही जाएगा, right? So it will go back to its average, right? So that's actually a good news for stock investors. Second key point is what you need to take a look at. Again, you need to consider the Bollinger Band. So here we are considering at the peak, okay? So we are at the top of the Bollinger Band. So is this a time to pump a lot of money in the stock market in bulk? The short answer is a no, okay? At least as of now. Abhi aisa nahi hai, okay? So this is a short-term trend. If we look at RSI, then RSI seems reasonable. It's not very cheap. It's not very expensive. So it's okay. It's not in like exuberant territory. So a long-term pattern might become something like this. So this is a cup with handle. So agar aap itni depth iski uthaoge, so this becomes like a technical target. So which comes out to be roughly 28,500. I'm doing very quick, rough analysis, okay? So now the question that, hey, should you be investing in Indian stock market right now? Really depends on your time perspective. If you're looking at a 6-month window or more, then it's a good time to invest because this technical target of 28,500, roughly we are at 26k, okay? So ये कितना हो गया? So this becomes like roughly a 10% odd gain. So if you are okay capturing this 10% gain, then yes, go ahead, invest, okay? So from a technical point of view, if you are trying to pick fundamental bet, then what is it that you need to bet on? Well, most of the people, आप संवाद उठा के देख लो and all that thing, right? कि अच्छा इंडिया ग्रोथ स्टोरी, दिस दैट स्टफ, राइट? आई मीन वही चलता रहता है उनका दिन भर, राइट? बट सिंपल पॉइंट है कि इंडिया ग्रोथ स्टोरी तो बहुत अच्छी चीज है, बट सी टेल मी, like when you are fundamentally investing in a stock, you require company to grow its profits by 15% CAGR, right? In dollar terms, okay? So which means that roughly 18-19% CAGR growth honi chahiye, right? For company in INR terms. Now, if you can, and this is the fundamental bet, right? I mean, it's commonsensical. For example, if you consider Google, in the last 20 years, and you go and check it out independently, that in the last 20 years, Google ka CAGR has been around 17 to 20% in dollar terms. Now that's a fabulous company. If you would have picked Google and invested in it as a fundamental bet, you would have made money. Okay. At this juncture, if you pick Google at whatever levels, and if the company compounds at 15% CAGR, because of Google ka size badh gaya, of course, like, it cannot grow that fast. But if it grows at 15-16% CAGR, then also you are going to make enough money. So the trick in terms of picking fundamentally good company is very simple, that you have to pick companies where the CAGR growth in INR terms has to be 18-19% on its profits. Now, if you can go, and again, it's an exercise, you guys go list companies, right? Just literally list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 companies in India which are doing more than 18-19% CAGR, plus they look safe to you. For example, जैसे अनंतराज है, right? अनंतराज को देखोगे, right? I mean, उठा के उसमें okay, so this company is growing at like XYZ% and you will be very impressed. Great, but does it look like a safe company to you? Why? Because it's set for disruption. Maybe like, Adani ji ka man kara, right? उन्होंने business खोल दिया वैसा या whatever, right? So 100 different things can go wrong, right? So both these criteria should be met. Okay, so wherever this criteria is getting met, maybe in Indian companies, American companies, then you can go and invest, not a problem. So this is what I would say. Just SIP chala doge usse kuch nahi hota, right? I mean, SIP has to be done in the right kind of asset. SIP has to be done at the right time, right? All that stuff needs to be taken care of. I'll not speak too much against SIP or whatever, right? I mean, people get pissed off, right? But I'm just honestly telling you whatever the situation is. So this is the situation, okay? Now your call whether you want to buy it or not, right? And if you are looking to capture like a 10% move on index, trade it quickly, go away, cool. Even I would be doing that, right? So I have put in a significant amount of capital on Nifty 50. I'll make my 10%, cut it, okay? So this is what my point of view is. वो story चल रही है and all that, कुछ नहीं होता स्टोरी चलने से, राइट? आई मीन द इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है कि क्या अगर आ रहा है कि नहीं, राइट? 15-16%, 20% ग्रोथ हो रही है कि नहीं, दैट्स द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट बिट. सो आई होप दैट दिस पॉइंट इज क्लियर. Then comes the final point that, okay, what about American stocks? So here is my American portfolio, right? I have in fact built $2.5 million of portfolio this year, right? In the US, all exceptionally doing well. Now see guys, I mean, honestly, for the time being, you can argue with the valuation that, okay, valuations are expensive, this, that stuff. But the point that you're missing out is that from a history point of view, there is something very interesting happening, okay? The interesting thing is that up until very recently, America has almost like in the last maybe like 30 odd years, I can't find an instance where American government has come out and supported, literally like invested in its private companies. For example, US government took a stake in Intel, right? Now this is unprecedented. Now why is this unprecedented and why is the US doing this? Because what's the game that is happening is that, see, DeepSeek, which is a Chinese company, and Nvidia are going head to head. Okay, so they are at the top of the league. This is like comparing like Virat Kohli with Steven Smith, right? Something like this, right? So those two are fighting with each other, right, at the top. And this is the dominance for top end chips. Okay, but what about like lower end chips? Because those are also required for a series of functions, right? So you would have companies like AMD, which might be mid-tier stack. Then you might have companies like Intel, which might provide lower tier stack. So American government has now raised its hand and said that, you know what, boss, American companies, you guys go and win, okay? Because on one hand, we have China that's pumping in crazy amount of money into its private sector. Again, that capital flow story, that they are pushing in crazy amount of money into their private sector. Those companies are, sort of becoming bigger and bigger. A great case study is BYD, okay? Honestly, like in the international market, no one even heard of BYD, right? But in the last 2-3 years, BYD cars are flying everywhere in a way. Okay, so like I live in UAE, right? I live in Dubai mostly, right? So like it's much better experience to sit in BYD compared to Tesla. So कहीं ऐसे ही game Nvidia and DeepSeek के साथ भी ना हो जाए, ऐसे ही game कहीं Intel versus whatever Chinese equivalent है उसके साथ ना हो जाए. So American government has raised its hand and said, you know what, we'll become like type of a Chinese government when it comes to AI. Now, what does this lead to? Well, this leads to commitment from the American government in terms of spending money to whatever extent required to beat Chinese competition. This is the new Cold War which is happening. If you as an investor are not buying AI stocks, you will find it harder and harder almost every year to buy these stocks. So AI stocks में आपको technical analysis नहीं करना है कुछ खास. Okay, whenever you see a dip, you buy them. Okay, it's as simple as that. In case you guys need my help, I do run a global community. I do talk about my portfolio. I stick my neck out. I put my own money. I perform. So that's how I earn my living. I am willing to put a lot of money on AI. I have already done it. I will continue to pour more money there. So that's my point of view, that AI is a fundamental bet. It's not a technical bet. So you can't go by what I was doing for silver, gold there, right? So yes, I hope that you found this video useful. If you did, do press the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you soon.